You know, every year, thousands of real estate agents convince themselves the answer is simple. A new brokerage, it's going to fix my business, right? Better splits, better technology, better training, better support. Hey, but what if none of those things are actually the problem? Today's conversation might challenge one of the biggest beliefs in real estate. Hey, we're going to welcome you back to Loan Officer Success Live, and today we're doing something a little different. We're bringing together two podcasts, one mission, helping real estate professionals build stronger businesses. Hey, from today's Loan Officer Success Live, we're bringing on Real Estate Success DFW. I'm joined once again by Dallas's top producing realtor, Shaune Corbett. Last week's conversation sparked so many ideas that we decided this couldn't be a one-time episode, so we're turning it into an ongoing conversation where we challenge conventional wisdom in real estate. We're calling it the counterculture agent, and today's topic, your broker isn't the problem. Switching offices won't fix your business. Shaune, let's get into it.
Awesome. Thank you, Devin. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Shaune, let's start with the question every agent has either asked themselves or heard from another realtor. Why do so many agents believe changing brokers is going to solve the problem?
Well, they operate a lot from myths, things they've heard, things that they believe. Most of them, you know, even successful agents, they spend a few years, they're working at a traditional split brokerage, and they just hit a point where, wow, my broker's not adding any more value, and they're taking 30-40% of my commission. I think a flat fee brokerage is going to help increase my profitability. And that thinking works out of a vacuum perfectly fine. The problem is that when you move to a flat fee brokerage, you're going to lose a lot of things you don't think about, right?
Yeah.
You're going to lose connecting with other agents oftentimes because they can't afford to give you a lot of full, robust support.
That's right.
Training and stuff becomes all online based. And there's not really anyone there in your court to kind of motivate you and be a part of your success. You really are completely solo. And, you know, someone like me, that works perfectly fine. You know,
Right.
I started a brokerage pretty much out of my garage. You know, it was 20 years ago, and I did it for 10 years. You know, no one taught me how to sell real estate.
Right.
That's actually kind of a fun thing to kind of dive in a little bit in is, you know, coming from where I started, I didn't work for a broker. No one taught me how to sell real estate. I didn't learn how to, you know, list houses. I didn't learn how to represent buyers. You know, it's very rare that it kind of happens like this, but I'm a born entrepreneur just like you, where I'm going to continue to invent things. I want to continue to improve things. And over time, I started looking and saying, what would the consumer want?
Yeah.
And that's really kind of the way I've approached a lot of my real estate and how I approach a lot of the training, you know, just helping agents and their business. But I'll go back to your question. I don't have to dive too far into the deep. For those that want to make that change and they have these myths in their mind that if I make the change, my production will increase. If I make the change, I'll make more profitability. Okay. These are things that they are all thinking. And the problem of why I'm not selling 30 houses a year is the broker. I just have to change brokerage or join a team. And then all of a sudden, all that will be corrected and fixed. And I'll get back on track to getting to my goal of 30 transactions a year. And I'm telling you, the broker has almost nothing to do with it. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Well, I love that you talk about that because, you know, you did start by saying, you know, being an independent can be a struggle if you thrive in an environment where you have other people to support you, right? And, you know, what I look at that is just like any type of a sporting team, right? You know, golf is kind of an independent, right? You're out there by yourself, but any other sport, you've got people that are there to support you, right? They're going to cheer you on. They're going to show you the way. You're going to have, you know, a coach that could potentially, you know, help you get things moving in the right direction. Okay. And what you're saying is that now we go from, we've got a team, but we're going to go to another team because that other team is going to change everything for us. Well, why does that not work? What is it that makes that not work?
Well, and I talked a little bit about it last time. You know, teams don't do what you think they're going to do. They have a image, and they used to be really valuable and really important because there weren't really good alternatives. You know, now that there are a lot of good alternatives, buyers and sellers have choices that they didn't have, you know, 10 years ago. And,
That's right.
and they would typically just lean on the branding of successful local teams. And it worked really well for that team. They had a brand, they sold a lot of volume in a small amount of area, and it worked exceptional. Today, a lot of those teams, their market share is considerably less than what it was before, because a lot of the individual agents are getting a shot at things, which is great for our I think are great for our economy. I want everyone to have an opportunity
That's
to
right.
grow their business. That way, the ones that have and can offer real value propositions to buyers and sellers that change their life, they have a chance to compete with people that, are using canned systems that are not going to create more opportunities.
Mm.
So that's a big change that I've seen. The team itself, although training can be exceptional, and anyone that joins, real estate, I think you would probably agree with the advice. If you could start anywhere, starting with a team would be a great place to start, because they're at least going to help
Agreed.
get really good at one aspect of real estate. And generally, most of the time, we start with the buyer agent proposition, right? So they learn how to add value to buyers, learn.
Well, Shaune dropped off here for a minute, so let's give it a second and see if we can bring him back. While we're going to do that, I think let's run the intro. Welcome to Loan Officer Success Live, sponsored by Premier Lending, the show where the mortgage industry's top players pull back the curtain. Your host, Devin Dubuc, sits down with industry leaders, top producers, and game-changing mortgage tech innovators, all sharing their unfiltered strategies, bold ideas, and proven secrets for success. Get ready to take notes, think bigger, and play to win, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. Well, I'm back, but we are still missing Shaune today, and the show that we have scheduled definitely requires his expertise. So I appreciate you joining in, and Kathleen, thank you for the heart. Shaune's calling me on the other line, so I'm going to put this on hold real quick. I'll be right back with you. I'm getting word from Shaune that we should be back on live here in 1 second, so sit tight, and we'll continue the show. We're back.
Man, how about that?
I guess, maybe it was a quick bathroom break. Shaune, where'd you go, man?
Let me get my notes. I switched over to my backup computer. That's funny. It happens.
This is a live show, guys, so this just shows you technical difficulties can and will happen. So we appreciate you sitting tight. Shaune, I'm going to ask you a question just while we kind of get back on cue. So we're talking about brokers, and we're talking about what they maybe making a transition isn't always going to work. But what should somebody be looking for in a good broker? What would that be?
Let's go back to, I was talking about joining a team and things like that. There are qualities that would be of value, but having success, someone that actually has proven success is definitely a good start, right?
Yep.
I don't want to join someone and have to reinvent the wheel and then figure
Agreed.
out that, everything they're doing is just like everybody else and we're all just rolling the dice and gambling. I want to know that we have systems and processes in place that have duplicatable results. If you
That's
don't have
right.
systems and processes in place for any brokerage out there, if you don't have a system and process on how you handle everything, then you're going to have different results every single time. And then your clients get different treatment. They get different, um, some you might do a little extra for, and others you do a little extra for or a little less. I mean, it just kind of always, and then everyone has a different experience, and that's impossible to build any scalable system where
Right.
everything is wild and different. I would encourage everyone to really hyper focus on having good systems and processes that have proof that it does work and that you will have a predictable result. I mean, I think that's really, really important.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that's on both sides of the table. You represent the real estate side of the business. I represent the, mortgage side of the business. And same thing with mortgage. If you're looking at making a transition to a company, they need to have a proven track record and a proven system, right? One that is referable, that's going to keep people coming back again and again and help you scale up your business. So I think we're on the same page with that.
It sounds high level. It sounds a little nebulous, but the reality is when you're interviewing, you're going to know, and I hate to say it, but most brokers don't really have systems and processes because they want everyone to have their own freedom and do whatever they want. And it sounds really good, but here's the problem. Let me tell you kind of what the result is. I've been doing this a long time. Successful agents that are really good, and there aren't very many of them, to reach that point where you're doing about $250,000 a year or more. That means you are actually making enough that you have some profitability. You're able to pay yourself. You're able to, build some type of sustainable business. That's kind of where a lot of people are trying to get to. The problem is if you're doing it as a solo agent, then you're probably going to be working 60, 70 hours a week, and you have to be available at all the times you don't want to be available.
Right. Nights, weekends, after hours, right? When you want to be spending time with your family, you're going to be out showing homes, talking to clients, and making yourself accessible.
Sure. I think it's always better to have other people that you can partner with to alleviate a lot of that pressure and stress. Maybe it does result in a little less income, but it makes it so you have more availability when you need to be available. And you have other people that you can partner with as well. I think that's really where most people should. I think soloing it is really, really hard to do if you don't have anything built in to scale it.
Well, I'm going to challenge that because you say, ultimately having somebody else that you're splitting your commissions with, takes away from your income. But does it? Because it actually amplifies your ability to produce more because you have what we call the acts of freedom, right? Shaune's going to do these actions and Devin's going to do these actions. And as a result, we can duplicate our abilities, right? And we can actually do more production, which is going to bring in more income. I was listening to Dan Martell recently, and I've read his book, and he talked about, when he finally got the insight to invest in his first employee, that's where he was able to take his business to the next level. And he was like everybody else. If I spend that money to hire this person, it's actually going to cost me money and I'm not going to make more, right? I'm going to make less. And that was exactly the wrong formula. Bringing in somebody to help them amplify the business, help them make more. And in your case, you're saying, hey, maybe partner up with another agent so that you have people that can manage the business and you're not a solo warrior.
Yeah, no, there's an absolute, and you're exactly right. There's an absolute fallacy in hiring people will cost me more of my profit and I will make less money. The fallacy, and that's what everyone assumes. They look at it as 100% cost and loss. But what happens is that's one element of a system, and one element of the system that now you can start having continuity, meaning every time I get a listing, these are the 10 steps I do every time. Every time I get a buyer, here are the 5 setups to get everything set and organized before we start writing offers. Everything becomes the same every single time, and you have to determine what is my value proposition I'm going to offer to the buyer or to the seller, and then make sure every transaction offers that as a core element. And when you have it set up that way, all of a sudden things start getting a lot faster and easier and more predictable because you've already made that offer. I don't have to be like, oh, I forgot to add the home warranty. Oh, I forgot to, get the pre-inspection before I listed it. When you have everything set up and it's a system, all that works itself out. The clients get better service because they know what to
That's it.
expect. And you can do a lot more transactions because everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. And if I added a $60,000 admin and I'm doing 50 transactions a year, all of a sudden I can start doing 70, 80 transactions a
That's
year.
right.
And my net profitability, even if it's the same, I'm working less, and my scalability increases because everyone's doing what their expectation is.
You know what
So
we
it
call that,
starts
Shaune?
building.
We call that sweat. Same way every time, right? We're going to sweat the process, and that's going to allow for the scalability, which is exactly what you're talking about. Um, we do the same thing on the mortgage side. And when you build a process, not only does it keep things consistent, but your consumers that you're assisting, they're going to want to come back again and again. In fact, they're going to have more confidence in you because it doesn't feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants, right? They feel a structured, organized system in one of their biggest buying decisions of their life. And they go, this is a true professional team. These are people I can put my trust in. And I'm going to move forward with Shaune and his team because I trust in the process that I'm seeing.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, if you consistently do it the same way every time, you'll learn that your real value proposition isn't earning and making commission. Your real currency is actually 5-star reviews.
Mm,
That's another shift in the way people think about, what they're offering. Your objective is to under promise, over deliver, and deliver in a way that meets all their expectations, and they're really impressed. So when you close and fund, 5-star reviews is a natural part of the process. When you have enough of those, then all of a sudden, anyone that gets online looks you up. It's an easy decision. They don't have to
that's right.
really think about it. I heard about you. You got referred to me. I saw an ad, whatever it is. I looked on, holy cow, you've got thousands of 5-star reviews. Okay, I don't have much to lose. Tell me your pitch. And,
Your,
and,
you,
and it
yeah,
becomes
your
really easy.
reputation speaks for itself, Shaune, right?
Yeah.
At that
The
point in time.
conversion is really easy when you have that.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's give a sneaky trick out, right? So, how do you get the review? The transaction, do you do it before the transaction's over? Do you do it at the end of the transaction? How do you get them to go and actually do the review? What's that look like?
I'm still transitioning on that system, but here's what I've done for years. I use a program uh, called EvaBot.
Mm-hmm.
EvaBot is a gift giving program, and what it does is it goes through and it sends them a message, and it starts asking, what are all the things you really really like? Is it technology? Do you have animals? Do you like alcohol? Do you like chocolate? It starts kind of qualifying them and defines particular gifts that are exclusive to
Mm,
their tastes. And then I set a budget, maybe I throw $200 or $300 at it, and then it will go through and define and qualify the type of gift that they want. And so when they get it, they send me pictures, which I just got one yesterday of the guy I sold his house, or he bought a house with me, and he's taking a picture of the coffee and he's enjoying it in his backyard. And it's really special. But when you do that at the same time, that's when I actually ask for a review. It makes it kind of that high euphoric. I've done everything for them. I've delivered a really cool gift for them. At the same time, can you throw me a 5-star review?
I love it. I
So
love it.
that's an answer and a system and a way to do it. I'm still transitioning, but that's how I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and what you're doing is you're giving them something that actually is significant to them. And that means something, right? That's part of a relationship. And we are in a business that requires relationships because the customer that feels like they're part of your family, they're going to come back again and again and again, right? And they're going to refer their friends, they're going to refer their family. And Shaune did such an amazing job. The process was smooth and efficient. It felt, comfortable. I was never scared that we were not going to get where we wanted to be. And at the end, I got a gift that was specific to me. Man, you got to come work with this guy. He's amazing.
Sure. I'll tell you something else. New brokerages, they might change your environment, but they won't change your habits. And I always tell people that same thing I say, people that are thinking about divorce. Okay. One of the things that comes up is when it's always assumed that the grass is going to be greener. This opportunity is better. That's going to be better. Everything's going to be better. And the reality is, when you leave that relationship, you're going to take yourself to the next relationship. So you've got
That's
to make
right.
sure whatever's not working, you have to address with yourself. I think the same thing with agents that are working with a brokerage. They have this automatic, wow, they have the shiny 10 things I'm looking for. And if I go over there, all of a sudden it's all going to just collide and make sense. But it's your habits that's holding you back from success. The broker is not going to solve that problem. Branding won't fix poor follow-ups, inconsistencies, or lack of discipline. Just having better tools, splits, and leads, that's not going to fix it either. You have to address something within you and setting the right type of habits.
Well, I love that you said that. And let's talk about that. Let's stay on the habits. So, what habits are going to separate agents who consistently produce from ones that are consistently starting over?
Yeah, there are a number of really good, and there are good books and resources to help you kind of get your mindset set, right? I mean, that's a
That's
really
it.
good place to start, getting in a mindset. But, you know, simple things I might share is time blocking, right? Everyone, the problem with agency is you do have absolute freedom to run and jump on everything that comes your way. And I know, because most agents I call won't answer the phone because they're scrambling and they're always behind.
That's right.
It's amazing the amount of control over your schedule. And I tease agents when I'm talking to them on the phone. I said, you can pretty much call me anytime. And it's not because I'm available 24/7. It's because I'm already ahead on everything. I don't like surprises for me. I don't like surprises for my team. And I don't like surprises for my clients. Okay. And yes, there are things that are out of our control that do happen. But when you only have to address those things and not 20 other things that you didn't take care of,
Right.
plan for, Devin, I'll give you another way. It's the mindset, right? If you've done enough loans yourself, or agents out there, done enough real estate transactions, you get kind of a feel for when things are not really jiving.
Right.
And when I get that feel, I start talking to the other agents and said, I'm going to let you know, I'm getting a feel about this. And it's not because, I've got intuition. It could be an intuition. It's not because I got ESP or anything. I'm just saying, I look at this and something is not the way. You should have ordered the appraisal by now, or you should have, we shouldn't be at the last day on the inspection. You need to tell me what's going on, so that way we have time to deal with it. Because nobody makes good decisions when you don't have time.
Yeah, no, you can't be doing things in the fifth hour, right? There has to be consistent communication. And representing the lending side, this is something that we teach our loan originators all the time, right? You talk about processes and being process driven. We have specific theme days of the week that we follow up, and we do that specifically because we want to make sure that it's instilled that these people have to have outreach on these days. But another thing that we do, Shaune, is we call it touch the lead, touch the partner. Anytime that we talk to the client, we're always talking to the agent. And I think this is a quality that a lot of loan originators don't have, and it leaves the agent in the dark, right? So what we do is right out of the starting gate, once the transaction begins, not only are we reaching out to our buy side agent, but we're reaching out to our list side agent, right? And we're doing that because we want to make sure that both sides of the table are getting consistent communication, right? And we have specific theme days. So Tuesday is our update. We're always going to reach out on a Tuesday. We're going to talk to our list side agent. We're going to talk to our buy side agent. We're going to talk to both borrowers. We may even reach out to the title company because we want to make sure that we're quarterbacking this thing to where everybody is in the know. And I think what you're talking about is exactly the opposite. When you're working with the wrong lender, you're not getting those phone calls, and that intuition's telling you, hey, there's something missing here. We're probably working with the wrong partner, and man, we maybe need to pull from this person and move elsewhere, right?
No, let's talk about communication. I love this. This is an important topic, and this isn't from the agent standpoint, it's from the buyer and seller standpoint.
That's right.
I joined a brokerage, and they pulled every complaint, every issue that buyers and sellers have. We're going to offer a guarantee against that issue, whatever it is. And the number one complaint, can you guess what the number one complaint? And I'm gonna give you a teaser. It's from the seller. The seller's number one complaint about agents. What do you think it is?
I don't hear from them.
Communication. That's exactly right. You must have been in this business for a while.
24 years at this stage of the game, Shaune. I've been doing this for a while.
And no agents think about that, and sellers don't think about it either until all of a sudden they get a house, they list it, and then the agent disappears for 90 days.
Yeah.
Hey, what are we doing?
I've always had a general, and this is before I made a move. I always make recommendation. You always have next steps every time you get on the
That's right.
phone call with the client. Always have next steps. So if you're making your weekly calls and you're talking to your seller, hey, I know we had no showings. Here's the way we're going to play this out. We're gonna run 2 weekends. We're going to run it at the current price. We're going to make sure the market says no. And when it does, we're going to have that conversation about what price would get yeses. And there's a way to have that conversation. It's funny now, I don't actually have those conversations anymore because of the way that we set up our.
Right. Yeah.
But that's another story.
That's a different podcast and a different topic, but we're talking about traditional real estate and traditional communication.
Yeah, and they don't share. They don't have a plan. They don't know what to do. They're just like, well, nobody wants your house. Sorry. It's price and condition, right? We learn all the basics. If you don't have price and condition, or you're missing one or not the other, then no one's going to buy it.
That's right.
Those are fine conversations, but make sure we always have a next step, meaning maybe we need to go ahead and renovate that part, or maybe we need to do a 30-day reset the days on market, come back, do a few repairs, get it set up, correct the condition, and then come back at the same price, whatever it is. I mean, that's next steps. One of the things that I recommend is I have a communication guarantee. If I don't talk to my client every single week, buyer or seller, every single week about updates, because I have intention, we have a program we have to sell, my buyer has to buy. So I need to have a conversation with them every week to make sure we're on the same page. Then I owe them money. Check. Okay. That's putting my money where
I love that. Absolutely.
And if they ever reach out, buyer or seller, if I don't communicate with them within 24 hours, then I owe them money. I write them a check. All of a sudden, that becomes an important objectivity for me as an agent to make sure.
Right.
And it's not about the money, but it's just so buyers and sellers know they have a partner that's
it builds confidence.
Yeah,
it builds confidence. They're not abandoned. There's a process. They know they're going to hear from you. It's going to be consistent, and there's always a next step. When we get to hear, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. And people want that. They want to be led, and they want to be led well. And just having a process behind it is going to build confidence. And I think this is great for the topic that we have today, because what we're talking about is why moving brokerages isn't going to fix your business. What's going to fix your business, Shaune, is what I hear you saying is finding a process, sticking to it, and educating your consumer how you're going to lead them to victory, whether that's selling a property or whether that's buying a property. These are the steps that we're going to take together to make sure you get what you want.
A better split on no business is still no business. Okay. And I'm saying that in the simplest terms. It isn't going to amplify what you're actually doing. Before blaming the brokerage, you need to identify what the real problem is. If you're doing 8 deals and you want to do 30, the question is, who has a better split? The question is, where is my next 22 transactions going to come from? And brokers don't have a real solution for that. They give you shiny objects. Hey, we got leads, because that's what they all have to lead with. They all have to lead with, well, we got leads. It ain't going to get you 22 transactions. I promise you. And no one's buying a house because the sign says KW or EXP or any of these other brands.
That's right.
Not why.
Doesn't matter.
They might have created the lead, but that's not a strong connection. You have to figure out how to build that strong connection with your audience, and then be able to deliver on what that strong connection is requesting to be delivered on. Like, where are we gonna meet the client?
Well, I want to go backwards a little bit, Shaune, because you talked about time blocking. And I think that's an important conversation to have, especially when we're talking about how are you going to find your next business, right? So let's get a little bit of a nugget here, right? Time blocking. What does that look like for a successful agent? What are we going to teach people out there that if you do this, this is how you're going to create success inside your business?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I travel all over the place and make all kinds of comments and stuff. I was coming back to the original problem that agents are running around doing everything, and there's not really there's not a program or plan. It's I run and drop everything for every single opportunity. And you'll find that a lot of those opportunities really aren't opportunities. I'm telling you, I'm learning right now. I mean, I've gone on, this year I probably went on about 6 or 7 seller appointments, and they loved it. But I had one problem. They weren't actually ready to sell at that moment. So it ended up being an exercise of not time waste, because it was good exercise of practicing for me. But if you don't show up at the right day, right time, when
That's
you're
right.
ready to make a decision, then there's no reason for you to be there. And I didn't have to go. I could have waited, and I could have waited till their time was right. That's a really important, lesson that I've learned on wasting
Absolutely.
time. But time blocking allows to be intentional about doing small things all the time, every day, to make that incremental, improvement. Our word of the year, I think last year, was incremental change. Means we're just going to make small adjustments.
Yep.
I work out Monday through Friday in the morning, like 5 in the morning, and my goal is to do a little bit more each time I go. Okay, I don't go from 15-minute cardio to 25-minute cardio the next day.
Right.
I don't go from my goal was 100 push-ups a day, and I don't go, from 20 to 50. I mean, I do 20 to 25 the next week. Every week I had 5. And then it becomes much easier.
That's right.
For those out there, this isn't just about work, right? We got to read books. We've got to educate ourselves. And you should time block and find a real source of inspiration or opportunity. It could be reading Bible every morning. It could be
Amen to that.
I do Audible.
I love Audible. Audible's my best friend. Yeah.
I go through probably a book every 2 to 3 months on Audible. So I just put it in my ear and I just listen.
You speed it up, Shaune?
I've never done that.
Try 1.25 and then move to 1.5. You'll get through the books faster and you won't even hear the difference.
That's incredible.
I'm telling you right now. Because you're talking about small tweaks. That's one small tweak that can actually help you digest a little bit more knowledge just a little bit faster.
That is brilliant. I don't know why I never thought about it. I always see these sound. It has the option to change that on.
It does.
Things I'm watching. I'm like, why would I want to turn it up?
Yeah.
I'm such an efficient person that is incredibly valuable information. I appreciate. That's a good tip for me. I think. All right.
I'd love to take credit for that. I was actually listening to Neil Dingra, who's a coach. He runs the Ford Academy, and he mentioned it. And I started it last year, and it changed the way I digest information. I absolutely love it.
Wow. I mean, that would add another couple books a year, easy.
It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Well, let's talk about
blocking was really it. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can take it, but you got to be intentional, set it up. Even if it means prospecting, a couple hours every day, then you have a list of opportunities of how you prospect. Right?
What does that prospecting look like to you, Shaune? So when you say I'm going to prospect for an hour, 2 hours, whether it's daily or weekly, what does that look like for you?
I create. For me, I'm in a value add proposition brokerage. Okay. I'm not a sign in the yard. I'm not,
right.
I can call up someone and have a conversation with them and tell them, hey, I've sold 500 homes. I've done over 300 million. I know more about real estate than almost anyone you're ever going to talk to. And you come to find out that means zero to the client. They just don't care. They have a problem they want you to solve.
That's right.
So instead of coming in with your resume, and this is going to be really, really good for agents that have no credibility and no resume. This is what's really powerful, is give them a value proposition that adds value to what they want to accomplish. I assume most sellers are really concerned and they don't want to put their house on the market because they don't know if it's going to sell, and they don't want to go through the stress of cleaning it up,
That's right.
getting it perfect condition, having to handle the showings. It's very, very stressful and frustrating. You have to add something on how to solve that problem for them. Our company, we offer programs to help them. We guarantee to sell the home when they want to sell for what they want to sell for with no hassle. And that's a big proposition.
That's a huge proposition.
And not everyone can start there, but maybe they can start with the Mark Spain model, right? Where he just guarantees a cash offer. That's not hard to do. There are probably 30 or 40 companies you can connect with, partner with, and just say, hey, every house I go, make me a cash offer on it. It's really, really easy. The consumer doesn't realize how easy it is, but for us as agents, it's easy to partner, and you can guarantee a cash offer on every single house.
That's huge.
When I go to a home, I actually bring them 14 to 16 offers. That's another conversation. But the value stack is so large that it's overwhelming for the seller and the amount of things that we're going to go ahead and appreciate it.
Shaune's bringing the money.
Ironically, I have agents that reach out. I had one that's runs her own Compass brokerage, and she reached out and said, "Hey, I got a house. I got it done. What do I got to do?" I said, "Well, give it to me." And then I put it on my platform, and I generated about 14 offers for it, and 2 of them were within a range that they would actually consider. So
incredible.
And I'm like I said, I help everybody. I almost get nothing for it. I might get a small amount of something, but I didn't get the listing, and I didn't get the buyer directly that way. So there's ways you can add value to everyone. But I think if you can add a value proposition to solve a problem, this works on every single
Absolutely
business out there. If you can solve someone's problem, give them a real solution. Stop thinking about throwing it on the MLS, putting a sign in the yard, doing an open house, and praying. That ain't selling houses. Like, we got to go something and add a real solution to a problem. And it works on every type of business out there.
Agreed. Well, I do want to leave the audience with something, and we did talk about time blocking, and I just want to, so for you as a top tier agent in the DFW, what does a typical week of time blocking look like for Shaune Corbett?
Well, let me pull my calendar up. And for me, because I'm so efficient with my time with clients, I have a wide open schedule every single day. So I'm really probably a really terrible example of this, because, like, for example, I'll catch every one of our podcasts together, and I schedule podcasts Monday through Friday. They come in at random times.
Right.
And I have 4 kids. I have 4 kids in elementary school. Okay.
I've got 2 across the desk from me. they're right here in the room with me today.
I love it. Well, they're learning about podcasting. Maybe they'll jump on the next one. So my schedule is just as chaotic as everyone else's, but I have managed to have control of my time. I don't run out on weekends and evenings. I don't show homes all over the place. I have, a plan and an executable opportunity with every single person I work with. When you can set the stage of how you work and when you work, then your clients will work according to your schedule. One of the things I talk about in my book is that you don't have to work weekends and evenings and still make 200,000 or 300,000 a year doing this. And the way you do it is you have expectations up front. Here's when we're going to go look. Here's how we're going to sell. All the type of things. And then every time you have contracts, make sure none of them end on the weekend. It's pretty simple. I don't end option periods on a Saturday. It's done.
Right.
I actually have it built in business days. So that way I never have a Saturday at 5 o'clock we're all yelling at each other. Nobody wins.
I love it.
So there are a lot of things in that space that I would recommend. And I only say time blocking because most agents have no discipline. They haven't learned it. They have the entrepreneurship mindset, which means I have all freedom. And they don't realize if you don't treat it like a business,
that's right,
it'll own you.
Well, I'm going to throw something out there because this is something that I strongly believe as well. And I again, this is something I train to, which is we're in an industry, both sides of the table, your side and my side, where we have the ability to make the type of money that doctors, lawyers, and athletes make, right? Well, when we look at doctors and lawyers, right, what do they have? They have massive years of education to be able to do what they do, and they're definitely on schedules every single day, right? Well, let's talk about the athlete. The athlete is on the field every single day, exercising, training, executing the same plays over and over and over again, and this is what gives them the ability to make copious amounts of money. For some reason, entrepreneurs in our industry think, hey, I can just put in a little bit of effort and make a lot of money, and you can, right? But if you put in that same type of effort that an athlete puts into training and getting prepared to get out there on the field and do what they do, you're going to make unfathomable amounts of income. And that's what's so special about this industry, is if you treat it like that and you become that entrepreneur, the level you can take yourself is absolutely astonishing. So I do want to leave them with one thing too, because I know a little sneaky trick that you do. You actually have created software that does it, but you don't have to have the software. And Shaune, you reach out to, how many people is it per day that you're reaching out to in your database to trigger conversations?
Yeah, I simultaneously hit 10 every day, and it goes in order: home anniversary first, happy birthday second, and then whatever's left, it hits the remaining people with a message of, I'm thinking about you in a positive way. right? Just random. I have
Not in a creepy way.
No, and I have about 1,500 people in there.
Yeah.
So every day it's hitting 10. I go through my entire database 4 times a year.
Yep. Once a quarter.
Yeah, once a quarter I hit everybody. If you can hit everybody that you haven't, and it's crazy the amount of people that are like, I never would have reached out to them, and nothing against them. I just don't have anything in common with them right now.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I appreciate it, man. Life's busy. And then I have a way. At that point, I got to respond. I send them a picture of one of my front covers of one of the magazines I was in, because it has my kids running around the backyard around my
Love it.
And that gives them a really good picture of what my life's like now.
I love it.
So
I love it.
In that way, that just creates connection, and
Yeah.
now you're top of mind again.
Well, we do something similar, and it's once a quarter. We do it a little different. What we do is we have one specific day. It's one of our theme days. It's Wednesday, where we reach out to our database. We take our database, divide it by 13. So this is a simple thing for anybody, simple form for anybody to use. Take our database, divide it by 13, and that's exactly how many people that you need to reach out to every single week, right? For Shaune, it's 10 people per day. For you, it just depends on what your database looks like. And if you don't have a database because you're a newer agent or you're a newer loan officer, you can take your personal database, the people that you already know and like and trust you, right? And just reach out to them and just say, hey, we teach this all the time. Send them a birthday video. Don't just post on the timeline, right? Go to their Facebook Messenger and send them a voicemail or a video. Be a little bit different and let them know you're thinking about them, right? And it can be just as simple as, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're having a blessed day. Love to hear from you sometime, right? And that's it. And that simple connection is going to put you in front of more people who are going to be thinking about you, right? And if you do it on Facebook, this is a sneaky trick, and you're already posting things about your life and things about your business, they're going to go, oh yeah, that's right. Shaune does real estate. Devin does real estate, right? So when that time comes, you're going to be popping up in their feeds, because when you're communicating with people socially on the internet, you automatically start showing up a little bit more in their day-to-day. So, Shaune, I know we're at the end of the hour. So anything else that you want to leave us with today before we wrap?
Yeah, the only main thing, I do have that program. It's available now.
Let's go.
We're looking at $39 a month, and it's a touch system. So the simple way is reach out to me. I'll connect you with my. We're in the early phases of it, meaning it's rolled out, it works, it connects with all my social media. I've been doing this for a long time now. But for those out there that just want something as to help them stay in front of their entire database, send messages to them consistently, that is a really low cost way to do it. So that is available, and I'm probably still just a few weeks out. For anyone interested in reading my book, I'm willing to give that book that I've created on the Simple Sphere system. I'm willing to give it away for those that will give me a review, because the review is what creates the energy. I'm not making money on, and this is a really good lesson. You're not going to make a living on your friends and family. You got to get past that. Okay? You can't make a living on it. And not only that, they're going to use other people. So they're going to hurt your feelings. You've got to realize those are not missed opportunities. Those are not real opportunities, because you're too close. The law of familiarity takes over. They're not going to want to use you for different reasons. I won't go into why they won't. But you've got to make money beyond that. It's the same thing with my agent group that I have, about 1,200 agents in my Facebook group. And I'm not trying to make money on them. I want their help promoting and creating my book. And then my book will make money on people I don't know, like, and trust. And I have credibility instantly with them. So that's the way you've got to think about your business. You've got to build a platform of credibility.
That's right.
People will come back to you. So that's a couple things I've got available.
Well, there's some great nuggets. And if you want to find Shaune, I've been running it right across the bottom of the screen. He's over on YouTube at RESDFW. RESDFW, that's Real Estate Success DFW. You can also find him on his website at realestatesuccessdfw.com. realestatesuccessdfw.com, or go over to Instagram and make sure that you follow Shaune Real Estate Solutions at Shaune Real Estate Solutions, or Facebook, really easy, Shaune.Corbett, and that's Shaune, Shaune, if you're listening in and not actually watching. But should come over here to YouTube and check us out. We're going to keep this thing coming back every Friday at 10 a.m. So if you love what you're hearing from Shaune, he's going to keep giving out those success secrets on how to create great success in the industry without having to work nights and weekends and crazy schedules, how you can become a true entrepreneur and build a successful business. And maybe at some point in time, he'll cross-interview me on how to have success in the mortgage industry, because I have been doing this for 24 years. So love that you guys keep showing up. Thank you guys for stopping in, Shaune. Thanks for coming back. Loving this segment with you, brother.
I love it too. I appreciate it, Devin. Definitely. I'll have interview questions for you because I know that when mortgage people suck. So I'm going to ask you, what do you do with this when they're terrible and
That's
things
right.
to look for? So
I love it. I love it, man. Well, great stuff. Guests, again, we appreciate you stopping in. We will see you on the next one. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.